The Hellshire Hills area of southeastern Jamaica forms an unforgivably rugged peninsula, seared beneath the relentless Caribbean sun and encased by a treacherous layer of jagged limestone outcroppings. The 100-square-kilometer Hellshire Hills region represents one of the few remaining unspoiled dry tropical forests to be found on Earth. This relatively small but important ecosystem is home to many unique species of plants and animals. It is here that the critically endangered Jamaican iguana struggles to maintain its last stand against forces beyond its control. Thus, the Hellshire Hills is very much an island within an island. A final haven for the Jamaican iguana, Cyclura colei, regarded by many as the most endangered lizard in the world.
The Jamaican iguana is a special story because of the circumstances, the rediscovery and recovery. The fact that it's Jamaica's largest land vertebrate. It almost slipped through our hands. In fact, Jamaican school children are taught at a very early age that there was once a native iguana there that is now extinct. And so it's special because it's become a flagship species for conservation in the West Indies.
The dramatic decline of the Jamaican iguana is not difficult to trace. During the early days of human settlement and subsequent hunting and farming activities, the range and habitat of the iguana became significantly reduced. Then, in 1872, the Indian mongoose was brought to Jamaica by sugarcane farmers to combat the cane rat. However, the mongoose, now prolific throughout the island, failed to have an impact upon the cane rats and instead turned its attention to the island's reptiles, including the Jamaican iguana. The voraciousness of the mongoose appetite for iguana hatchlings and juveniles has been well documented and, as indicated by an aging population, appears to be the single most important factor contributing to the iguana's decline. The current number of adult Jamaican iguanas in the wild is estimated to be no more than 50 to 100 at the most. Other non-native predators have taken their toll on the iguana population as well.
So they have documented that as charcoal burners move deeper into the core iguana area, the iguanas move farther back. And they've seen this since 1992. They first encountered iguanas in a certain area, and now they're no longer there. It's just because of the influx of charcoal burners. There are feral pigs there, and potentially they could dig up nest sites. Feral pigs are well-known predators of reptile nest. It's a critically endangered animal, and we know that unless we continue to supplement this population through Head Start and release and through predator control, it's very clear that this population is headed for extinction.
Looming as a future threat to the survival of the Jamaican iguana is the planned development of housing and roads, in addition to the implementation of destructive limestone mining in the Hellshire Hills. As a result of continual unchecked predation, a live specimen of the Jamaican iguana had not been seen since the 1940s, and for about 50 years the species was acknowledged to be extinct. However, in August 1990, there was an amazing turn of events.
Edwin Duffus is truly a remarkable individual. This man has been a long-time user of the Hellshire Hills ecosystem, a long-time pig hunter, and one day in August of 1990, his dog flushes an adult male iguana into a hollow log. And by the time Edwin got there, the dog had injured the iguana, but that's the iguana that was taken to the Hope Zoo that signaled the rediscovery. And so here's a guy that is now, that is credited with rediscovering the iguana. His name has become somewhat of a household word. He's on websites, on the internet. His picture has been featured in different conservation magazines. And he really has become the true heart and soul of that field team. I mean, he is involved in every aspect of the program, from radio tracking to mongoose control to maintaining the base camp, guarding the nest sites, collecting hatchlings. And he's just a remarkable individual, one of the finest people I've ever known.
The discovery made by Edwin Duffus sent shockwaves throughout the conservation community and hastened an organized effort to pull the Jamaican iguana back from the dark edge of extinction. In 1990, the Jamaican Iguana Research and Conservation Group was formed and soon discovered 2 active nesting sites of a remnant but still breeding iguana population. The popularity of the project grew rapidly, and today the recovery efforts are being funded by an increasing number of zoo and conservation organizations. In 1992, the Fort Worth Zoo became involved with the project and entered into a cooperative alliance with Jamaica's Hope Zoo. Today, the Fort Worth Zoo spearheads a successful international fundraising campaign.
Over 20 zoos now in the United States have contributed financial and technical and logistical resources to this program. And it's really allowed them to take the program to the next level, to do things that they would not have ordinarily been able to do with their own ways and means, if you will. When you look at the time frame from rediscovery in 1990 to reintroduction in 1997, that's an amazing accomplishment, and a lot of that was made possible through the efforts of U.S. zoos. The Jamaican iguana is a special problem. It's emblematic of the good work that zoos can do when they pool their resources for a common cause.
There are 3 critical components essential for the success of the Jamaican Iguana Recovery Program.
We basically employ a 3-pronged recovery effort to affect the conservation of the Jamaican iguana. The first is Head Start and Release, and the Head Start and Release program is designed to overcome the high juvenile mortality that is associated with the mongoose predation. The mongoose was introduced in the 1870s and has really had a devastating toll on the iguanas and take a lot of the juveniles. And so very few juveniles reach sexual maturity because of mongoose predation. So what we do is we guard the nest sites, and as the hatchlings emerge, a certain percentage are taken to the Hope Zoo for head starting and eventual release. The second prong of this recovery strategy is predator control. It's senseless to return animals to the wild if your primary threat is not mitigated. And so we have a full-time person in the Hellshire Hills who is trapping mongoose and removing them from the core iguana area to allow the species to regain a foothold and start breeding normally. And the third prong effort is the captive breeding program, and this is centered at the Hope Zoo in Jamaica as well as 6 other zoos here in the United States. And so we have a captive population in 2 locations as a hedge against extinction and as a backup in case the wild population crashes.
Other key aspects of the program are an iguana identification system, medical, nutritional, and genetic evaluations, and radio tracking of iguanas released into the wild. The result of an organized and effective recovery program, coupled with tireless individual effort, is that the Jamaican iguana has been given a second chance at survival.
I think I'll never forget, as long as I live, the experience and the feeling that I experienced. We were releasing iguanas in February of 1997, and we were on iguana number 6 that day. And you know, you get so caught up in what you're doing, and you've thrown so much of yourself into the project, and you're making everything work and assuring that the iguanas get out to the Hellshire Hills safely and that your transmitters are in place and are functioning properly. You get so wrapped up in that, you fail to recognize the significance of what you're doing. And that happened to me, and when we released that last iguana, he was moving up the hills, and he kind of turned around, and it was almost like we made eye contact. And it's a feeling that I'll never forget as long as I live. It was just one of those remarkable experiences that occurs, I think, once in a lifetime, and it certainly recharged me and rejuvenated my interest in this, because this is a lifelong commitment for me. I'm in so deep I can't get out. I mean, I've committed a large portion of my life to helping to save this animal, and so I'm here for the duration. But it's moments like that that really, make it special.
Almost lost forever, the Jamaican iguana has become the flagship for conservation of all 8 species of West Indian rock iguanas. After 9 years of exhaustive efforts, the vital toehold needed for survival has at last been established. However, there is a great deal more work to be done before the Jamaican iguana can once again enjoy the security provided by the revitalization of its species. And it is extremely important that the established conservation efforts be sustained to ensure success. Contact the Fort Worth Zoo Guest Relations Office, located at the front zoo entrance, to learn how you can contribute to the recovery of the most endangered lizard in the world.